Welcome to this deep dive. We take your sources today, a stack of official legal documents, and pull out the key insights for you.
Yeah, today we're looking at papers from Chelan County, Washington. We've got a divorce decree, police affidavit, warrants, charging documents, the whole legal paper trail, really.
Exactly. And our mission is to see what these sources tell us about a recent, really tragic event. We'll trace the timeline as it's documented, follow the investigation through this paperwork, and look at the specific charges that were filed.
It's all about what the official record shows, step by step, how an initial report snowballed into what we see here.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting right at the beginning of the documented timeline, May 30th, 2025.
Right. The documents show Whitney Decker reported to Wenatchee police late that night.
What was the report?
Her 3 children hadn't been returned by her ex-husband, Travis Caleb Decker. That was against their court-ordered parenting plan.
And the documents actually detail that plan, don't they?
They do. It was issued back in September 2024, September 27th to be exact, and it had really specific terms.
Like what?
Very limited visitation hours. Fridays, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
And crucially, no overnights, explicitly stated. Visits had to stay within the Wenatchee Valley area, too.
And the documents highlight something else important about that plan.
Yeah, that Travis refused to sign it. And it also noted concerns the court had about his parenting, potential emotional or physical issues impacting that.
It required counseling too, right? Mental health and domestic violence, anger management.
Yes, required it. But the documents state he hadn't actually done that counseling.
So that background from the court is pretty significant here. Shows prior concern.
Absolutely. And when Whitney made the report, she also voiced concerns about his mental health. Mentioned he was essentially homeless, staying in hotels or maybe camping sometimes.
Adds a layer of uncertainty right from the start about where they might even be.
Exactly. So the documents track the failure to return the kids. Not just Friday, May 30th.
But also Saturday the 31st and then Sunday, June 1st.
Right. And initial efforts to find Travis and the kids, well, they didn't pan out.
They looked for his truck.
A white 2017 GMC Sierra. It was actually spotted by an ANPR camera that's an automated license plate reader going northbound on the Wenatchee Bridge at 5:41 p.m. on Friday, May 30th.
But finding him or the children?
No luck initially. Checking hotels, campgrounds, the places mentioned in the report. Nothing.
And no Amber Alert at that stage?
The documents note it didn't meet the criteria then. Based purely on the facts known at that moment, there wasn't enough evidence of, imminent danger or serious injury needed to trigger that specific alert.
Wendy also gave more background, which is in the affidavit.
She did. Said the kids aged 9, 8, and 5 generally had a good relationship with their dad. But she also mentioned moments of power and control dynamics during their marriage.
And his diagnosis?
Borderline personality disorder, that's noted. She also mentioned recent financial stress he was under, like a ticket, wages being garnished.
And something about his demeanor at pickup.
Yeah, that he was uncharacteristically quiet. And maybe the most chilling detail she shared, noted right here in the documents.
What was that?
The children left her house wearing only the clothes they had on. They weren't packed for an overnight stay, not at all.
Wow. Okay, so by Monday, June 2nd.
The situation escalates. Travis doesn't show up for work. His boss mentions recent mental health concerns, too.
So, with the kids still not returned, way past the court order and this risk factor of them being unprepared.
Right. The documents show that's when probable cause was found for custodial interference in the first degree.
And a warrant.
A warrant for his arrest was requested and issued that same June 2nd.
Okay. And this is where the deep dive into these documents.
Yeah.
It shifts dramatically. It details how everything just tragically escalated.
It does. The sources lay out that on that same day, June 2nd, a big search effort got underway. Multiple agencies, volunteers.
And they found something.
They found Travis Decker's truck unoccupied at the Rock Island campground near Leavenworth.
And near the truck.
About 75 to 100 yards away down a small embankment. Deputies made just a grim discovery. It's documented right here.
The children.
The bodies of 3 young children. Their description and clothing appeared to match the missing kids.
The documents note some disturbing details from the scene.
Yes, very disturbing. Signs of lividity, that's the pooling of blood after death, helps with timeline.
Okay.
A plastic bag found over each child's head. And zip ties, or at least signs of zip ties having been on their wrists.
Terrifying.
Other things found nearby, also documented. More zip ties, plastic bags kind of strewn about near the truck and the path. and what looked like bloody handprints on the truck's tailgate.
Was there anything else?
An abandoned campsite nearby, showing signs someone had been there recently, and cell phone records, which they got quickly due to the urgency.
Where did those show?
They indicated Travis likely traveled to that specific area the evening before picking up the kids on Thursday, May 29th, and then came back Friday morning, May 30th.
Suggesting he might have scouted the location beforehand.
That's certainly an implication from that timing, yeah.
And the children were formally identified?
Yes, by the Chelan County coroner. The documents list the preliminary cause of death as asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation.
Based on the documents, it means death caused by oxygen deprivation, suffocation, essentially.
So with these findings, the legal actions ramped up very quickly.
Extremely quickly. The sources include an amended information filed the very next day, June 3rd.
And amended information, just so you know, that means the formal charges were updated, usually because of new evidence.
Right, and these were major updates. It formally accuses Travis Caleb Decker of 6 counts.
6 counts.
3 counts of aggravated murder in the first degree and 3 counts of kidnapping in the first degree, 1 for each child.
And the documents detail what those charges mean legally.
Yes. The murder charges allege premeditation, meaning planned in advance, and that the murders happened during the kidnapping or were part of a common scheme involving multiple victims. Both are factors for aggravated murder.
And the kidnapping charges?
Allege intentional abduction with the intent to either commit another felony or to inflict bodily injury.
The documents also list specific aggravating circumstances for the kidnapping counts, don't they? Factors that make the crime potentially more severe.
They do. Things like the victims being particularly vulnerable and that vulnerability being a key factor. Also that Travis allegedly used his position of trust as their father.
And the impact.
And that the offense had a destructive impact on others. Obviously, the surviving parent, the family, the community.
And based on all this, a new warrant.
Yes, an order for a warrant on probable cause for these charges was issued June 3rd. And crucially, no bail was set. Reflects the extreme gravity of the situation as documented.
So this deep dive, looking just at these official papers, it paints a really stark picture. It shows the documented path from the initial custody report.
Through the search, the awful discovery, right up to the filing of the most serious charges possible under the law.
What understanding these documents really gives you is a window into how the legal system processes something this horrific, how it builds a case, step by documented step, based on facts found in specific laws.
It's a cold, formal record, but it's the foundation. These documents, stark as they are, they form that base for the pursuit of justice.
Absolutely. And as you think about this, consider just the sheer amount of detailed, official paperwork needed to track and prosecute a case like this. Every observation noted, every action justified by procedure. It really underscores how our justice system relies on this paper trail to grapple with, the most profound human tragedies.